bow our heads. Gracious Father, we thank you once again for this opportunity. Be with us and be with all our city workers in this time of trouble in our community, but in our nation. We just ask you to be with us. We ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Present.
Councilman Tibbs. Councilwoman Bench. Mayor Pro Tem O'Neill is absent. Councilman Clores is excused. Councilwoman Moore.
Present.
Councilman Ball is absent. Councilman Clark is excused. Mayor Browning.
Present.
We have 5 members present, 4 absent.
Okay, and at this time, I need to remind the audience and fellow council members, this is a good time to grab that cell phone and make sure you have that silence for us, please. And you'll see each of the council members are doing that right now, just to make sure that we have that way. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, I do have announcements this evening, Mayor. I'd like everyone to know that the City Waste Convenience Station is open to city residents the second Saturday of the month from 10 to 2 p.m. at the Public Works Building located off of Holland Avenue. City residents may dispose of items such as building materials, recycling for glass, plastic, and paper. Also, the City Hall will be closed next week, Thursday and Friday, November 26th and 27th, for the Thanksgiving holiday. And consent agenda item number 11 regarding the RICO USA purchase order has been removed prior to the meeting and no action is recommended at this time. Our next order of business is personal appearances.
And just a reminder for those that signed up for personal appearances, the purposes of personal appearance is to address council. Speakers shall address their remarks to the council as a whole. Remarks shall not be addressed to individual council members, city staff, or the audience. Speaker may ask general questions about the topic of their presentation. Questions will be referred to city staff for appropriate follow-up. Speaker shall not ask questions of specific council members. And tonight, our first speaker is
Debbie Melkonian.
Good evening. Before you is a check for $24,842. This check was given to Go High, which is Go Outside for a Healthy Inside. It was presented by Saginaw Valley State University this Saturday while Sharon Dinsey and myself attended the football game at Grand Valley. Each year, the students at Saginaw Valley and at Grand Valley have a battle of the valleys. And the student bodies raise money, and they determine whatever school raises the most money, picks an association, or rather a civic group, to receive the funds. This year, we were proud to receive this check, which obviously will be smaller when we deposit it. The Saginaw Community Foundation will be our fiduciary, I never say that word correctly, and they will control the money. We at least have some startup money that we can use for grant writing when you have to match a grant that you're applying for dollars. We haven't earmarked these monies at this point. Our committee will be doing a PowerPoint presentation to the council in the upcoming months with the permission of our city manager, explaining what Go High does, Go Outside for a Healthy Inside, parks, public parks and trails, and other green spaces improve the overall health of a community. They are partners in combating some of the most complicated health challenges such as heart disease, obesity, poor nutrition, and physical inactivity. Living close to parks and trails is consistently related to higher physical activity levels for both youth and adults. Adolescents with easy access to opportunities for physical activity were more active and less likely to be overweight or obese than their teens. This past Friday, a group of Saginaw Valley students and our committee met at Wicks Park by that pavilion by the river and spent from 9 a.m. till noon cleaning up that area, cutting down brush, picking up trash. It was a crummy day, but we managed to go forth and with the help of Phil Carwatt's crew, who provided some of the tools for that cleanup, we were successful. There's a lot yet to clean up. Annie Bench and Devon Tibbs is aware of this project, and we've been in contact with them, and more about this program will be forthcoming, and we were happy to get these funds. Thank you.
Is Eric Carbin.
The problem I'm about to address is less of a problem at this time thanks to community. Eric Carbin, 1003 Mackinac. All right, did my time start? The problem I'm about to address is less of a problem at this time thanks to community police officer Jeff Wenzel of the Saginaw Police Department. I have a neighbor across the street from me whose dog has recently been barking early in the morning, like 4 a.m., as well as at other times during the day. I called Officer Wenzel a few days ago, and he got on the case. The 4 a.m. barking has stopped, but the dog still was barking yesterday, Sunday, mid-morning, and later on in the afternoon after I got back from church. I have no idea what it's barking about. It's behind a tall fence. It's a guard dog, a big German Shepherd. Guarding what? I don't know. It just seems to bark for no reason. Yesterday wasn't the first day it barked like that. It's been barking a lot, off and on, during the last several months. I got a couple of phone calls yesterday, or actually today, from Officer Wenzel, so he's still on the case, and I appreciate that. Hopefully the daytime barking of this dog will abate soon. In the last couple of years or so, I've called the police about barking dogs of two other neighbors. Officers have come out and dealt with the dog owners. The barking of these other dogs has diminished somewhat, but starts up again sometimes, but not for long stretches as before. Again, I appreciate the intervention of the police. I hate to call the cops on my neighbors, but I don't know what else to do in order to live in peace. I walk the streets of the city of Saginaw quite a bit. I often get barked at by a dog as I pass its turf. Now, people who drive around in their cars don't notice these barking dogs. Why does the city of Sagnasty, as some people call it, have all these nasty barking dogs, pit bulls, German shepherds, etc.? It's because their owners feel insecure against possible home invaders lurking about. These dogs aren't kept as affectionate, cute pets. These dogs are mean and nasty except to their owners. These dogs only serve as cheap protection against possible threats. Parts of this city, including the Heritage Square Historical District where I live, sometimes make me feel I'm living in Bucharest, Romania, where barking dogs serve as cheap protection for poor people living in areas lacking police protection. I wish Saginaw sounded more like Reykjavik, Iceland, where dogs are not permitted within the city limits. Thank you.
Remarks of council.
And council members, just a reminder that you have 5 minutes. And tonight we'll start with the Councilwoman Brenda Moore.
Good evening, citizens. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our public speakers, Ms. Zacconi and the young man, Mr. Eric in the back. On Friday night, started off my weekend. Friday night, I attended the CAC banquet. It was much success, and the executive director was really excited. Then on Saturday morning at CAC, we brought a group here, and the name of the group was Race and Law Enforcement in the Urban Community. I'd like to give some kudos out to some people. I'd like to give our captain, Ruth, a shout out. Chief, our chief, a shout out. I'd like to give Demond Tibbs, Michael Ball, and our illustrious mayor, along with Mayor Pro Tem, who attended it. It was well attended for the first time event. It was sponsored by Michigan Municipal League, NBC Leo, and it was our first time doing it in Saginaw. We had over 125 individuals there. They televised it on 6 o'clock news, 11 o'clock news. I didn't see it, I just heard about it. The funny thing was that all this time I've been working on it, I never knew. I just thought I was a member. But in midstream, I was told, no, you're second vice chair, and it's like, oh, I just thought I was a member. But I'd like to thank everybody who came to the event. We do plan on doing another one, so Chief, we need you, we're gonna need you, because we are not just going to leave it in Saginaw, we are going to spread it, and we're looking at doing some great things with Michigan, with NBC Leo. Thank you so much.
Okay. And Councilwoman.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I don't have much this evening, but I do want to congratulate Go Outside for a Healthy Inside for getting your award. So that's wonderful news. So thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Councilman Demond Tibbs.
Well, I'd like to thank our speakers for making us aware of their contributions to Saginaw, as well as letting us know about issues within the city. I think it says a lot that our city is at a point where we can address and put effort into barking dogs. It's definitely affect our quality of life, so I don't want to minimize it, but you have a good officer in Officer Winslow, and I know the police chief has been putting great effort in providing a customer service aspect to our policing efforts, and I'm sure your issue will be addressed. I would like to recognize Buena Vista City Manager is the title. Close enough. Dexter Mitchell, doing a great job out there in Buena Vista, and he was also very active in the presentation that was presented over the weekend. I guess what I really wanted to speak on or touch upon today was Kalamazoo Promise Zone has celebrated its 10th anniversary earlier this month. The purpose of the Promise Zone was to provide free and reduced tuition to all Kalamazoo graduates who attend city public school within Kalamazoo. They reviewed it, and it shows to have increased school district enrollment, improved student behavior, enrollment goals, improved K through 12 test scores, increased college enrollment and persistence. Residents with children were more reluctant to leave the community, which led to higher population, more jobs, stronger housing prices. And I guess the reason why I mention that is that because of that success, there's a state law that allows municipalities to develop their own promise zones, and Saginaw is one of those. But the difference between Saginaw's promise zone and the Kalamazoo promise zone is that Kalamazoo promise zone is 100% funded by a private donor. For Saginaw promise zone to be a success, we need community participation as well as participation from our corporate partners, and we have many. And Saginaw is doing pretty well compared to other cities, such as Jackson, Michigan. They lost their promise zone. But Kalamazoo shouldn't rest and think that we crossed that hurdle. We still need city support and our corporate sponsorship support. This is a way to take our city to the next step in developing it economically, as well as stabilizing our population and possibly stabilizing our housing market and possibly even increase our housing market. So that's an opportunity for our residents to come together and support our city. So not just in April when Kalamazoo has their fundraiser, but this is something you can contribute possibly through your job on a monthly basis. Can you imagine if our parents, if our students contributed $5 a month maybe? We wouldn't have a financing issue as far as sending our kids to the next level. So I just wanted to bring that and make that us aware. Kalamazoo has seen a lot of success with their promise zone. But only way for us to achieve that similar success is to continue to support it financially. And that's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
Thank you very much, Mayor. I just want to get right into Mr. Carbon's problem with the dog. You mentioned that it was a dog of a certain type and that was used for guard dog purposes. About 4 years ago, this council passed an ordinance on dangerous dogs, and it included German Shepherds. In order for you to have a German Shepherd or a dog like a pit bull, and there's several other breeds mentioned. They were all part of the Center for Disease Control list of the most dangerous dog types in America. You have to have in the city of Saginaw a dog on premises sign that you need to purchase from the city clerk office, and it also means that your dog is registered with the county, and it also means that the dog is contained in a certain fenced-in area, and that it's not put out in front of your domicile on a leash or a rope of any kind. This is to protect not only the citizens who do walk in the area, the children, the adults, but also is to protect the animal. There's been more than one occasion where dogs will get loose and get caught up into a fight with other dogs, and those dogs are killed. So it's something that does apply to our quality of life, and really it's a health issue, I think. So I just would urge the either code enforcement or the police to look into that, make sure that that owner of that dog is obeying the ordinance for the city of Saginaw. And I do realize this doesn't necessarily take care of barking dogs, but barking dogs are usually are often anyway dogs which are left by themselves an awful lot, and that can often be traced right back to how they're treated and how they're cared for. And so, if a dog is being mistreated or if a dog is not being cared for, that'll also be apparent if Scenic comes on the scene and takes a look at it, or the police. So I just urge you to, and for anyone who's listening and has a similar situation, check it out. Do they have this? Do they have the sign up? Have they registered that canine with the city of Saginaw? I also want to give a shout out to our veterans. We passed Veterans Day here, and I just want to give my honor and my appreciation for all those in the city of Saginaw who have served in the military and have fought in our wars, our battles over the last 200 and some odd years. We also had the Marine Corps anniversary, or Marine Corps birthday, which was also celebrated the same day. So that concludes my remarks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, thank you. Just a couple, once again, thank you, Brenda, for being a part of that very special event. And I know, Dexter Mitchell, thank you for coming. Unfortunately, our rules prevent me from allowing you to speak without signing up. But but please know that we certainly appreciate everything you've done for us, and your support even here shows the importance. And the support that we have between Buena Vista and the city and the rest of the communities was very evident, the cooperation that goes along in our communities here in the fight against crime as a total. So thank you so much for that, and it was a wonderful, and I was treated very wonderfully there, and it was great to see people from other communities come in, and a great time for us to show what was happening here in our community. So great event. A couple of other things. Friday, I had a wonderful opportunity to be with a few members of the State Appropriations Committee who were here, referenced Delta College request for their funding. And we took a tour of the riverfront area, downtown, Old Town, and a lot of the new development. Members of the chamber, members of our business community, all coming together in support of that. Mr. Tom Miller was there also. So I thought that was a wonderful experience with that, and we're just hoping that process moves on here pretty quickly and see some progress with that much anticipated Delta College coming downtown with that. Covered today, this Friday, is our Light Up the City. Starts at 5:30. It is absolutely free, whether it's the horse carriage rides, or you're going over to the children's zoo, you're going to the Japanese tea house. If you're going to a couple of our local churches that are close by for concerts, there is free hot chocolate, there is cookies. There was absolutely no reason for not being down there. And of course, at 5:30, we turn the lights on at our beautiful Waterworks building, and in conjunction, the City Hall will be lit up at the same time, I believe. But what a great event here. And at 8:30, if council so approves the agenda tonight, we will have fireworks at 8:30, and it looks like it's very reasonable weather, even a chance of some light snow. So a little effects with the snow will certainly help everything there. Thank you to our speakers. Deb, thank you for your efforts and with the Go High program, and we look forward to seeing some great planning coming out of that and some development in that area that is much needed. I think that's a super one. I'm not going to suggest this for your incident there, Mr. Corbin, but my neighbor right behind me had a barking dog, and I resolved that. I have a fence, and I cut a little 2-inch hole in the fence, about knee high, and I went over and got me a whole box of doggy cookies. And when the dog was barking, I slipped one of those in that hole, and by golly, he took it. And I talked to him for a minute, and it cost me a couple, but I'll tell you, if he's barking, if I say anything, he stops. Now, I haven't given him a treat in a long time, and pretty soon he's going to get mad at me. But we just don't have a solution for that. Well, I can tell you, one of the solutions will not to be banning dogs in the city of Saginaw. We will not do that. But it's a neighborly thing that we got to work out, and you have excellent people in the city here to help you as much as they can, whether it's our community police officers or our scenic people in working on that. Give them a chance to work on that as much as they can and try to resolve that. So with that, Madam Clerk, that's it.
Thank you. Your next order of business is the reports from manager.
Mr. Manager, any reports tonight?
We don't have any presentations. I just have a few items to update you on. A reminder of the citywide neighborhood meeting as this Thursday at 5:30, and it's hosted by Chief Ruth, and the neighborhood association hosting this week is the Cathedral District, so it's at 723 Emerson, which is Greenhouse Center of Hope. And I would also like to let council know that you're all aware that the Behringer building was taken back under foreclosure by the SEDC, so we're kind of in a holding period on that. There's a redemption period of 6 months on that building, as with any judicial foreclosure. But Ms. Jones and I have met with the chair of SEDC, who is Andrew Dominowski, and talked a little bit about what I think the city's goals are for that building. And I think when the time comes to do something with that, we'll have the ability to work on that project. So I don't expect anything in the near future, but the redemption period is up this spring. One thing we do want to work with the SEDC on is securing the building and possibly winterizing it as best we can. And I think SEDC probably had an update on that last Thursday at their meeting. So we'll, if anything new comes up with that, we'll update council on that, but I don't expect anything too much during the winter months. The bond that council approved, that process has been completed, so we do have the bond proceeds, so the projects that we talked about will be moving forward on. I know Public Services and Mr. Carwatt already have ordered and received a lot of the equipment, and I believe they're still on schedule for their other projects, the street lighting conversion, which I think is slated to begin in the wintertime after the first of the year, and everything else is lined up for those projects as well. And finally, you may have seen trucks outside the City Hall. Saturday, we did have the service line for City Hall for water broke and did flood the basement here. And I assume that our alarm went off because the police chief was the first one to text me about that Saturday night, and then Public Services after that. So I have to thank our crew at Public Services and Facilities and the police department, and also the clerk came in Saturday night because the election equipment is in the basement. So they all came in on their Saturday night to make sure everything got repaired, and Phil's crew and the water shop actually did the work for us. And I believe that you wouldn't know it, but the water line is, I think, 16 or 18 feet below the surface of the ground. So it was a pretty big job, and trying to get that many staff members in the water shop in during deer hunting, night before deer hunting season, is quite a chore. So Phil did a good job with that, and I know the clerk did, and I know the police helped out as well. So I'd like to thank all of them for doing that and keeping me updated and complete with photographs. So they're on top of that. And those are all the items that I have this evening.
Any questions? Being none, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Mayor, you are now at your consent agenda.
And just let everyone know that the agenda has been available at City Hall on the city's website and SGTV channel 191. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, leaving room for exceptions. It's been moved and supported. Are there any exceptions? Councilman Fitzpatrick? Number 4. Is there any other exceptions? Any other exceptions? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Madam Clerk?
Yes, item number 4, approve a purchase order to Bergman Incorporated for $7,500 for construction of the accessible ramp at the YMCA polling location. That was Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Councilman Fitzpatrick.
Yes, a couple of things. I used to belong to the Y. They had a ramp. What happened to it? So, as you should, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
The ramp that we're talking about is the ramp that's on the front of their building. And that, the inspection did go out there, and it does not meet the current ADA code. So it does need to be replaced. And since we've been using that location as a polling location, it will now hold 2 precincts rather than just 1. So we're moving into the gymnasium for the precincts at that location, so we do have to access the front door where this ramp is or was. We're using that entrance for it because it provides the safety and a separate entrance from the voters, from their clientele, and the daycare staff that they have. Now, being it's an ADA compliance ramp, that is what we need to qualify and meet the requirements for the Bureau of Elections at a polling location.
So all the other polling locations that we have been approved?
Yes.
As far as ramps?
And we're doing site visits on the current locations that we're remaining with, and they have to meet the survey requirements for all the ADA codes and specifications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility to use a different location if we, I mean, I'm assuming this has got to be built before Election Day of
Correct.
whatever.
We do plan to use this location, with the March 8th election, as we always did for any election, that location. It's just that we're using a separate entrance from what we did previously.
Mhm.
So,
I think it might help with the council as well to know that if you may not recall, but we did this probably 5 years ago with several locations. We had to update for ADA compliance. So this isn't something that we're just doing with this location. Number of our locations, we've already done it with several years ago in the city. I believe at that time we used another grant to do that. We're using grant funding to do this as well. So it won't come out of the general fund or the election budget necessarily. But it is, it's the entire process of finding the polling locations was a pretty long and arduous process, and trying to move it into buildings that we know are going to be open for a long time. That was one of the criteria that I spoke with our clerk about, because in the past, maybe a week or a month before elections, we'd find out a building wasn't available any longer or may not be available due to some financial issues with the organization, or whether it be schools and school district, and we used a number of the schools that have since closed or may close. So this location is pretty beneficial for us, given what we feel the longevity of the organization will be. And it's a good location too, because it has accessibility for parking, and now will house the two precincts that the clerk talked about.
So it is part of a grant?
Yes.
With that, I say let's move on number 4.
Okay, there's a motion and supported. Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
thank you. Mayor, our next order of business is reports from boards, commissions, and committees, and appointment of board and commission members.
Are there any reports from any boards or commissions or committees? Yes, Councilwoman Annie Bench.
The Boards and Commissions Committee had an opportunity to meet since the last council meeting, and there we had a chance to discuss, I guess, the efficiency of the committee itself, and we have come to the conclusion that we would like to recommend to the council that we dissolve or abolish the committee due to lack of activity.
Okay.
So I would like to make that motion.
Motion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and do I have a second? Motion, second on motion. Now, is there any further discussion?
I didn't hear the motion.
Madam Clerk?
I didn't hear what the motion was.
Madam Clerk?
The motion is to abolish the boards and commissions committee.
Yep, go ahead.
I thought that was a committee that, Mayor, you assigned.
Mhm.
And so now we're saying there's no need for it
After,
at this time, or what?
yes, after the committee has been meeting now several times, and you served on that committee, I believe, felt that going back to the system that we had before was just as efficient, if not more, than what the meeting that we're having with. So that's the theory. It's not a required committee under the charter, so for efficiency, they just,
All right.
okay? Any other?
Thank you.
Any other? Go ahead.
Was it discussed as far as, did we give this enough time? Because I think what is bound, but This committee's been about a year old or so, but not even.
Committee, up to the committee,
Well, the committee's been in existence as long as I've been on council. It's just that we meet on a as-needed basis when applications come up for renewal. And being that it's not regular, it's just not really an efficient way, very hard to schedule. So, I mean, the applications would still be reviewed. It just wouldn't be in that form.
Understand. Thank you.
Okay, being none, all in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're now at appointments. Number, you want to read those through, Madam Clerk?
Do them separate or as one motion with exceptions?
Let's do it, was one motion? Is that all right? Council's pleasure, one motion.
Is she moving?
Are you moving? Moving to accept the appointments?
To accept the appointments,
And-
the city manager's reappointment.
Okay, and then items
Items,
1
I'm
through
sorry,
4.
items 1 through 4.
Okay, all items 1 through 4 under our committee report. That's been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, your next order of business is resolutions. Our first one is approving the authorization certificate for commercial card service agreement with Fifth Third Bank.
I need a motion to adopt. Been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Our final resolution this evening is for the City of Saginaw annual apportionment of $5,625 for the Saginaw Area Stormwater Authority annual budget for fiscal year 2016.
Need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, you are now at motions and miscellaneous business.
Is there any miscellaneous business to come before the city? Being none, I would have asked for a motion to adjourn. It's been moved and supported. All in favor signify by aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.